Now that you're in the field, we're going to want to discuss what we call turf management. It's very simple. The way that cable companies work are basically through an architecture known as a head-end to node to customer. The way that it's set up is we feed a signal through the satellites that provide the programs. Could be HBO, could be network broadcasting and such. We receive that signal into a head-end, which is then transmitted through fiber to a node. Those nodes then provide that information through feeder cables. Sometimes they're on utility poles, sometimes they're underground, and then they are actually received by the customer through what we call a drop cable. New construction may be underground. Some of the older homes may actually have a drop from a utility pole right to their house. Now, the reason that that's significant is because that's how we actually track our individual homes past in any footprint. I know it sounds like a lot of cable lingo, but what it does is it shows a DSR a lot of valuable data. So when they're out in the field reading what we call a street sheet, they can see customer information or potential customer information. Usually we'll have the customer's name, last customer we're familiar with, we should say, and there's usually a code next to it, and it will show if they were a former customer or not. And if they were a former customer, do they have a past balance? It may also show the disconnect date too. These things are vital, especially for you as a DSR, because you know how long they've been disconnected. You also know if they actually owe your cable provider any additional money. So when you're going to sign the individual customer up, you're going to know that in addition to that first month fee that you may have to collect, you're also going to get a past balance. You need to capture that as well, prior to them even becoming a customer. In addition, there may be codes such as a D for disconnect, or there may also be a code N. The letter N usually means never. This is a resident that has never actually been a customer of your cable provider. To me, these were valuable. These were the people I went after, and the reason is because usually these were satellite customers. And to me, that meant more money. If I was able to convert a customer that was a satellite into a cable provider, I got paid a bounty, an additional fee. And most likely, your cable company is offering that same deal for you. So this is information that is valuable to you when you're in the field. So from the street sheet, you're able to see the addresses, and usually they're very close to each other. For the most part, they're done and run by roads or streets. So you could start on Main Street, find the first address you want to reach, and from then, follow that street sheet to the other customers. It's beneficial to you because if you don't use a street sheet and knock on every single door, you're going to run into a lot of current customers. And we don't want to do that. And the reason is most cable providers don't pay for upgrades. Or they have an individual department that focuses on it. So you're wasting your time. You're going to a current customer knocking on the door, not knowing who they are, kind of blind, so to speak, and they say, well, yes, I am a cable provider customer. I love the services that you have. But you've wasted 4 or 5 minutes. Or what happens if they're having a customer service issue? It's great that you've stepped in to help them, but we have customer service departments already to handle that. Remember, your responsibility is sales. So it's very important for you to make sure you use these street sheets. These are what assist you in finding out where the potential customers are and what you can actually do to find them, locate them, educate them, sell them. That way you're going to be able to be successful, and it's going to save you a lot of time. Once you've been able to actually grasp onto that process, the best thing you can do is make certain notes. That's right. Walking along, you go to the first address, you knock on the door, you speak to the customer. Maybe they let you know they're interested, but they want to speak to their spouse, okay? So you set an appointment later on in the evening when both the husband and the wife are home. Make a note on that. Absolutely, it's beneficial to you. Make notes on those street sheets, because what happens is that data that you have, when you turn that territory log in, will actually paint a better picture of how the territory is the next time it's run. It's only information that's going to be useful to you and everybody else in your area. And remember, this is the information that will help you be successful. So those little notes can be added to what we call a hot list. A hot list is basically a lead sheet. Now, some people will use notebooks. Some people will actually have forms printed out. It could be a lead list or a hot list or whatever. These are individuals that you spoke to off your street sheet that may have some interest, that you have basically set another appointment with or plan to kind of come back because they were on the fence. This information is valuable. On this list, you're going to want to write the customer's name. You're going to want to write their phone number as well. And if you can get more than one, that's great. Home phone, maybe their cell phone, maybe even a work phone. And also the best time to reach them. So if they work during the day, you know that you need to stop back after 5. Remember, this is an evening job and weekends too. So the best time to reach people is when they're home. And during the day, most of them are working. So you want to make sure that you take specific notes on that sheet. That's only going to benefit you in the future and keep you very organized. And organization is another key to success. When you're finally completed with your node and your territory, most cable providers will have what they call a reconciliation sheet. Sounds really complicated, but it's not. Basically, what they want you to do is they want you to complete and add line by line certain areas of a specific knowledge source. For example, if you go to a home but there's nobody there and you can tell that nobody has ever lived there or hasn't for some time, I should say, what you want to do is you want to put a V by it or write out the word vacant. Why? There's nobody there. That place is vacant. Or how about you go to a house but all of a sudden now it's a business? Well, you can't sell to them because remember, direct sales representatives, we focus mainly on residential customers. Maybe that house is now a real estate office. And because of that, we want to write on that street sheet, business. Maybe we even write under the business, real estate office. It allows us to put into the computer systems and let them know that that's a potential business customer. And the next time you run your turf, it won't appear. And what that does is it saves you time. And that's what we want, save time. Remember, our time is valuable. In addition to that, we may look at a home, there's nobody there. For whatever reason, we kind of find out that maybe it's not even in existence anymore. It's gone. It's been demolished. Well, we want to remove that too. These notes will be tallied up at the end of maybe a 2 or 3 week period, depending on your cable provider, your supervisor, your manager. And you fill out a node reconciliation sheet. Most companies will require you to do all of that information before you can get new territory. And that's important because once you go through the territory, you're going to want to get new territory. Okay? The more people we get in front of, the greater chance we're going to have to sell. So make sure you take very good notes on these street sheets so you can fill out your reconciliation report, turn it in, and try to get new turf afterwards. Now, the tip that I'm going to provide you is very simple. It's called the 3-contact rule. It's not something I developed. It's something that's been around for a long time. And the 3-contact rule when working turf is very simple. If you can contact the person during the day, that's great. But if not, you want to try to contact the same individual in the evening. That's right. Most of the time we know, as mentioned before, that our customers are going to be home at night. But we can try during the day, we can try at night. And if we haven't been able to get a hold of them during the day or the evening through the weekday, then we're going to also try to make contact with them on the weekend, Saturday, usually Saturday morning. Between 9 and usually 1 or 2 is the best time. Anytime after that, usually people have plans and they're gone for the day. So you want to make it as early as possible. So it's really a good idea when you're going through your street sheets, if you know you've tried them during the day and they're not home, and you've tried them in the evening and they're not home, maybe add a list for Saturdays and write their name on it. That way Saturday, instead of working off the turf, you can actually run through the report that you've just created with the individuals you haven't been able to establish contact with. That's the 3-contact rule, and it's very important because remember, the only way we're going to be able to sell is if we get in front of those people. And if we basically establish 3 contacts with one homeowner or individual that resides in that location, then we know we've done the best we can. And after that, we can move on to the next subscriber. Most companies will have more or less a contact ratio or a sales ratio as well. Check with your supervisor or manager to determine what that is. Usually we want to work that turf off those street sheets to the best of our ability because we want to have greater penetration, greater sales flow. And the only way we're going to do that is if we actually spend time and try to establish at least 2 or 3 contacts for each individual home. It will benefit us because we're in front of these customers. And if we're not, we're burning through turf and we're missing a big opportunity. Because if we can't get to these people because we haven't tried, we're going to lose sales. So make sure you try to establish at least 3 contacts every single household that you have on those street sheets.